Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. My houseplants are doing pretty well. This little aloe vera laid down, this one has a little bandage on it where it's weeping from being cut. As you can see, I've cut these others off in the past. But it just, of course, has a tendency to lay totally down, stretching out, and so I clipped it back. And if you can notice too, it's got new little spikes coming up in the center, so that's great, because after I trimmed them down it was looking a little bare before the new ones in the center started coming up. But so far most of the plants are doing well, and you can tell that I had a little plant right here that I did, and it was that calathea plant, and I did take it to my daughter and she loved it, and it was the plant. She had told me there was one plant that she really wanted, and it started with the C, but she was going to wait a while, and I found it and I thought, I think this might be the plant she wanted. So that's what I got her, and it was the plant she wanted, and so it was wonderful to get to give her that for Christmas. And this is the little strawberry drop cactus that I clipped off in an earlier post and brought inside, and so far it's looking great. I hope it looks this great when I take it out in the spring. And while I'm saying that so far the plants look good, well, of course they don't all. I still cannot do a oh goodness, I can't think of the name of it, but this is a Swedish ivy. How can you do those? I know in everybody else's home but mine, I think, they are just proliferating everywhere and they can't get them to stop, and they have to trim them off to keep them out of places they don't want them. But this is mine. I'm hoping that the root is still alive, but chances are it's not. I've had that same hope before and it didn't turn out to be, but one day hopefully I'll learn to do those. This is my snake plant and it is doing well. One time I killed one of these, but I have learned to keep them pretty much dry. I learned to put it in this clay pot because you can see that it's it has quite a bit of moisture in it right now, but you can't tell that just looking at the soil. And also because it dissipates from the clay pot and builds up there in the pot and then dissipates from there, so that it can have enough water without getting waterlogged and die. And I love that about the clay pots too. I'm even trying some geraniums, and usually I don't get my geraniums to do much through the winter and they die. And of course it's early winter, so they may still not make it, but they may. And these clay pots are wonderful for that. Usually I have a clay saucer, but I didn't on this particular one. But they are great because they don't just keep holding water in them so that your plant gets too much water, which is always not good for most plants actually, and some in particular. But also because it is a clay pot, if you put the plants that you're going to take inside in the clay pots, it's better for the plant, and actually the clay pots will not do well if you leave them outside. They will most likely crack and break. So this way the pot is protected and the plant is protected. Does anybody besides me ever wonder, like, why do you try so hard for certain things? And you know, part of it is just because you enjoy it. But then you know, when you make anything, even the things you love, a job, and it becomes a very hard job, and sometimes you don't see the good results. As a matter of fact, if any of you would like a good DVD, I do have one for sale, and I would like for you to purchase that and tell me what you think. I know it's my first one, Oh, and I did get my little Tin Man all fixed up. So I'm leaving him inside right now so he doesn't rust. But it is my first DVD, and I had such high hopes and dreams for it to become something special, but I don't know if it ever will. Of course, I don't want to just give up either. I don't think that should ever be an option. But I was thinking, that sometimes you just wonder, well, what is life about, as far as why do we keep trying? Sometimes you just love life, and so you don't think of those things. But sometimes, if you're like me, you get to wondering, well, is your life, does it count for anything? And then, of course, the people who love you will assure you that, yes, it does. Yes, you do mean a lot to us. And these things are all wonderful, but I just can't help but think, will you leave something? Will you make the world a better place because you were in it? Things like that. And I guess New Year's is a good time as any to think of those things. But I was thinking of that last night and feeling a little unsettled about life and how we live our lives and what kind of influence we might have on someone. Oh, and while I'm talking about that, I will show you these little ones that I took off my daughter's plant, and it got cold. We actually, the back door came open for a little while, and I don't think my little starts are going to make it, but that's just a side note. My little begonia is still looking great. I'm so happy with it. I hope I can keep them. Of course, every year I think that, look at this one. This is the one that lived last year. And it's growing. It's looking really good. But what I thought about last night when I lay down, still feeling a little unsettled about life, and my life is getting closer to the end of it, I'm sure, as all of us, our lives are. But I know that because of my age, there's not a whole lot of life left, and I still want to do so much. Of course, we all do want to do so much, and then sometimes you just think a little bit more about those things. But last night, while I was so unsettled, I got to thinking, but this is all temporal. This is the temporary things in life. And what does the Bible say about seek the things that are eternal, not the things that are temporal? And I thought of that old song that says, build your hopes on things eternal. Hold to God's unchanging hand. And that's really what we all need to do, because there's a life after this life that's never ending and that will be eternal. And all those other things that we think about and wonder about down here will be gone. And everything will be wonderful the way it was meant to be. And I want to be a part of that. But right now I still have a desire to be a part of what God is doing. I think this song actually says, build your hopes on things eternal. Hold to God's unchanging hand. Look at these little roses. Right now they seem like they're just being examples of things that we start and don't get finished in our lives. And I want to get things finished so badly, and I want my life to make a difference. And I know the fact is, the people you love and the people who love you are the only ones your life will really make a difference to. I think of Christ. Even Christ's life didn't make a difference to those who refuse him. but at least he gave them that choice, and he made them a way to have a different, they can make a different decision. Still, right up to the end, they can always make a different decision and live for Christ, the one who loves them so much he gave his life for them. So I still have one movie to finish making, and I'm trying to find the one I made for my daughter's graduation, her high school graduation movie, because I want to make one from her birth to her graduation. And I just kind of want to look at it again and make sure that I'm not doing a duplicate of it. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I'll do. I know I did not throw that away, and I know I will find it someday, but I've got to go ahead and either find it or just go ahead and start my other one, because I need to get it done so I can get started on my book. Or perhaps I should say back on my book, because I do have a little of it, and I do want to get busy and get that done. So this is the kind of thing I figured I would find out in the garden today. It's actually not a bad temperature, and right now for us it is New Year's Eve, but by the time you get this, I'm sure it'll probably be in February sometime. But it's always such a big mess to clean out in the spring. I do get tired, and I get tired of it. But that's also a part of life, is that we struggle and just have ordinary days that seem to just repeat and repeat with going to work, and then we get off on the weekend and we think, oh, thank goodness, some time, and then you realize that time is gone before you even got to really appreciate it, and it's time to start that dreary work week all over again. And of course there are blessings in the work week too. We find those things. We have to find the blessing in life. And I did not get all the seeds out of my seed box, and I did want to do that, but there's just things in life we don't get done. We just have to be proud of the things we did get done, and some of these little seeds may fall and come back up here, and it may be beautiful here anyway, but again, it may not. We'll just have to wait and see. I may still come out and get some of these seeds. I know that these are the purple Gomphrena globe flower. I love the feeling of having a purpose in life, a purpose to get up and go and do things and be a part of something bigger than I am by myself. And yet I love just being alone and feeling the presence of the Lord and just being able to reflect. And New Year's is a great time for that, because it just seems to happen automatically as you think about the year and what the old year, what blessings it brought, and what may come in the new year. I wonder if these little sedum will make it through the winter. I might should put a little plastic covering over that. And so far, most of my plastic coverings have stayed on, although some of them have blown off. We've had a couple of really windy days, and I put those back on, but we'll see how long they last. Hopefully they'll last long enough to make a difference. Remember this beautiful little sedum? It was a pretty green, and then it changed all the beautiful fall colors, and now it's gone, and yet it's not really gone. There's so much life even still in there. And even if these that are now a pretty red, even if they die off to a brown, most likely they will come back up again from the root, from the live root. This reminds you of the scripture that says, will these bones live again? It's like, will these flowers live again? Because they certainly don't look like they would, but you know, because you've probably seen that they will. Most of these will. The annuals will not unless they come up from little seed. So it's so important that we keep doing things, even though maybe we won't see the effort, the reward from the efforts we put in, but they will be there someday. Someday they will be there for others. And that's what we really want. We want to let our life mean something, have some purpose for someone. Look at all the mess in the garden right now. But one day, this spring, it will be beautiful again. Just saw where another bag has blown off. I will need to cover these little squirrels because they are ceramic. You can tell they've been glued back together several times in their little lifetime. But I want to tie something around this in plastic and try saving them again. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.